I've got a little something to say about Seth Rollins, our esteemed Universal Champion. Seth Rollins had quite the week, and not in a good way. The man's man. That's what they're calling him now. The man's man. As he is now going on, they're calling him on television because you see, Becky Lynch is the man, and the two of them are dating. In case you didn't know, that the first 1,000 times they told you, they're dating now. They've moved in together. And so he is now the man's man. Even though you and I know there's only one real man's man, and he is currently the general manager of NXT. It all started the week before. We have to backtrack here to how this all started. Seth has been a relatively quiet person. He's on social media, but you never really hear much about him. You know, he's kind of just very quiet in that respect, doesn't get into trouble or anything, doesn't shoot his mouth off. But this all started the week before, with Rollins going on Twitter and saying that WWE is the best pro wrestling on the planet, which he is certainly entitled to think. I would not expect, one of the top champions, if not the top champion in the company, to say anything else. Of course, he could just say nothing. He could do that. But he decided to go on social media and make the claim that WWE is the best pro wrestling on the planet. Although I will say again, he never did specify which planet, so it is open to interpretation. Later on, he doubled down. He got a lot of negative feedback, but he doubled down on that statement. He told people, find anyone else alive who does what I do as well as I do it as often as I do it. And Will Ospreay responded by simply saying, I'm alive, like Johnny Five. From there, it just looked like they were having some, they were kind of poking fun at each other. Just like a fun back and forth. Rollins said, oh, I'm sorry, little guy. Little guy. Little guy. The two are the same height. Rollins has maybe 20 or 25 pounds on Ospreay. But he says, sorry, little guy. We already have a better version of you here. And he just won his first U.S. title. Of course, that being Ricochet. Ospreay then responded by saying his fact of the day, Will Ospreay has wrestled more matches in 2019 than Seth Rollins. Catch up, little guy. That's when Rollins decided to talk about how much money he's made. He says, if you want to talk about numbers, we can compare bank accounts too. That's counting a month off with a broken back. Rollins lost the battle, this fun little battle, when he played the look at my bank account, I'm richer than you, therefore I'm better card. The fun little game was over at that point. And I think it explains a lot when it comes to the comments that Rollins made about Dean Ambrose in the interview that he gave to Sports Illustrated. Ambrose, didn't even bother looking at the contract offer that WWE gave him, which I'm sure was for a lot of money. More money than he probably has ever been offered in his life. Didn't even look at the dollar amount. Didn't want to be tempted. His mind was made up. It's not about the money. Adios. I'm out of here when my contract is up. He just wanted out. And he seems far happier now. Rollins seems to prioritize his bank account over all else, which is fine. Look, I might do the same if I were in his shoes. I don't know. And I'm not in that position. If I was, I might make the same call in that respect. That money is more important. But it does help explain things, I think, a little bit better. Now, I listened to the interview that he did. I didn't just read the transcript of what he said about Ambrose. I listened to the audio, and honestly, and everybody's got a different opinion on this, and that's great. I thought he actually came off worse when you actually listen to the audio, especially those first few minutes, mainly those first few minutes of the interview, talking about the people who use their stupid little social media machine to complain. This from a guy, he's a big football fan. He's a huge fan of the Chicago Bears, he even wore Bears-inspired colors when he won the Royal Rumble this year. He tweeted last fall, I hate football more than I've ever hated football in my entire life. I'm assuming because the Bears must not have done well that day. He's a sports fan. Any sports fan can relate. Hey, I'm a New York Mets fan. Few people on this earth are more miserable, as sports fans go, than Mets fans. And for good reason. Have you watched our team? Our own manager almost got into a fight with a reporter who said to him, see you tomorrow. He told him, don't be a wise ass, and he called him a motherfucker for saying, see you tomorrow. How wound up do you have to be that somebody says, hey, see you tomorrow, and you mouth off to him like that? Our team is a laughingstock. You tune into sports radio, you'll hear plenty of hot takes about my team, everybody else's team, your team. Seth Rollins is a sports fan. He does the same thing. Maybe somebody should have tweeted at him that day. If you don't like it, don't watch. Yeah, maybe somebody should have tweeted that to him. They're all a bunch of hypocrites. Every last one of them. Every last one of these wrestlers that bitches about the ones who have a different opinion. The ones who bitch about the bitchers. They're all a bunch of fucking hypocrites. They go off on these people that have a different opinion that they don't agree with. Boy, they sure do love it when you kiss their ass and you tell them, oh, you deserve it. You hear the chants of you deserve it, you're the best, you're this, you're that. Oh, they love it when you tell them how great they are. But boy, do they turn on you fast the minute that you have anything even remotely negative to say. It's unbelievable. Rollins says it speaks volumes about those people. And so he felt that, well, somebody's got to fight back. And he's the champion, which means I'm the number one guy in the company, so it may as well be me. He's got to fight back. Look at the words he's using. He's got to fight back. Apparently, we're at war now. We are at war with Seth Rollins and the stars of WWE. We're public enemy number one. I thought he came across like a condescending prick in this interview, which is not to say that he doesn't have the right to feel the way that he feels, or that he didn't make valid points later in the interview about, hey, we all put a lot of effort in. Nobody is questioning that. Not a single person is questioning that. Everybody that he is ranting about has been taking shots at the creative end of the product that they see on television every single week. Or the usage of certain people, or the lack thereof. Where's this guy? Where's Ember Moon? Where's Asuka? Where's Nakamura? Where's Rusev? Where's all these people? But I just thought he came across terribly this week. Of Ambrose, this is what he said. Ambrose can go do what he wants. He's a big boy. He's got his big boy pants on. He can go out there and say whatever he wants. But the bottom line is not everybody is equipped to handle the rigors of WWE and the schedule and how it affects you mentally and emotionally. Ambrose gave everything he had to the company for the entire time he was here. He put his heart and soul in the travel and the schedule and the injuries and the work in the ring and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, he took his ball and he went home. Or he went elsewhere at least. I think it's a little presumptuous of him to go on a podcast and talk down about the company that gave him such opportunities. And he referenced some of those. He did talk about how he was thankful for the time he spent here and the fact that he was able to learn and meet his wife and all that good stuff. Like I said, I love the guy. I love him. I'll always love him. But at the end of the day, we share differing perspectives about what we want out of life and where we are at in our own lives. I hope he does well. I've kept enough tabs on him to know that he's doing super well for himself right now, and I'm happy for that, but I don't think there's any reason to hop on a soapbox and complain after the fact. You need to take the first step, and that is looking in the mirror and asking yourself, did you do every single thing that you could possibly do to make yourself and your situation what you want it to be? If the answer is yes, you did, then you can go elsewhere and complain. And if you feel good about it, if that's where he's at mentally, then go right ahead. But if he hasn't done that and looked in the mirror and made that decision, maybe he should look and think about that. And that goes for any other disgruntled talent, past or present. And clearly, that last part was aimed at Dean Ambrose. Clearly. I mean, he just got done saying that if you are one of these people that have looked in the mirror and you've done everything that you can do, you truly have done all that you can do, then go right ahead and complain. But, the royal but. And then he went on to say what he just said. Well, he just got done saying that he thinks it's presumptuous of Ambrose to go out and bitch and moan and complain. So clearly he thinks Ambrose falls into that second category, that Ambrose didn't do all he could do. Which is quite the telling statement coming from his friend. I particularly love the took his ball and went home line. That's adorable. Ambrose told the company at least 3 months in advance that he was not renewing when his deal was up. He waited until his contract expired. He did whatever was asked of him. On the way out, he put people over until he was no longer legally under contract to WWE. But he took his ball and he went home, according to Seth Rollins. And this is a friend that he says these things about. If he talks like this about his friends, I can only imagine what he must say about the people he hates. Now, this last little chunk here, as far as what he said, and then we'll move on, but he said of other promotions, After watching what I've seen from other companies and other people and what they say and what they do, there is simply nobody else on the planet in entertainment who does what we do. They just don't do it. So you can talk about these other guys and promotions who think that they're the best in the world or offer a superior product or whatever, but they do not run 500 live events a year. 500 plus live events a year. That's top talent working over 150 matches a year, on top of all the travel, on top of all the media, on top of all the training to try to stay in shape so we can look like wrestlers and not some jabronis in gym shorts who get into a ring and do high spots. What we do, nobody else does. The level that we work at constantly, nobody else works at. I dare anybody, anywhere, any other company on the planet to challenge me on that. And I think it's great that he has that kind of enthusiasm. He's rah-rah, the biggest cheerleader for the company he works for. Great. Great. I've already gotten the obligatory, it's a work, bro, from message. I've got these messages from people. Oh, Rollins doesn't actually believe what he's saying. He's trying to stir the marks. He's working everybody. He must have texted Moxley to give him a heads up. Hey, dude, I'm going to talk some shit about you and get the marks all stirred up. I don't see what's gained by that. I can't sit here and say for sure that that's not what's going on here, but I don't see what's gained by that. I think he just reached a breaking point. I think he reached a breaking point with his friend leaving and all of the criticism being lobbed at this company that has treated him like gold ever since he was called up. I know there was a lot of frustration he had in developmental. He came very close to quitting because he thought he was ready to move up and they weren't moving on him quick enough. So he almost quit. But he stuck it out. He got promoted to the main roster and he's been a top star from the first day that he debuted on that main roster. I don't doubt that he was venting some very legitimate frustration with all of the negative things the fans and talent have been saying about the company that he works for. The same company that, again, he has enjoyed top star status in literally from the day he debuted at the Survivor Series. He leads a charmed life, this guy does. He found his new lady friend in Becky Lynch. He's the champion on Monday Night Raw, the top champion, really, in the company right now. He doesn't have anything to complain about. So why should anybody else, right? Everything is great. Just ask him. WWE runs over 500 shows a year. Hey, that's a great statistic to know. Thanks for the information. I'm not sure what the hell that has to do with what people are complaining about. But we're the best pro wrestling on the planet. We run 500 shows a year. Nobody else does that, even though half the buildings may be tarped off. But hey, we run 500 shows. Ratings are abysmal, even though Raw and SmackDown, they're still in the top shows every single week on cable. They may not be number one anymore, but they're way up there. That's true. But their viewership has plummeted. This year especially. And you are the champion. Raw did 3,500 people last Monday in attendance. Raw is the Seth Rollins show. You are the Universal Champion at a time when ratings and attendance are either at or nearing record lows. And you can't put all of that on Rollins, but you are the man right now. And I think that gets to the heart of what's really going on here. Seth Rollins popped off this week because he is feeling the pressure. We heard stories about this with Eddie Guerrero when he was the champion on SmackDown in 2004. The numbers were down while he was the champion, and he blamed himself for that. He put a lot of pressure on himself over that. And probably, in all honesty, they probably took the title off him as much because of that than anything else. Because it wasn't good for the guy's health and mental health. They had to get the belt off him. But he felt that pressure. I'm the champion. I'm the leader. I'm the locker room leader. I'm supposed to be leading the charge here. And attendance is down and ratings are down. And it really was a mindfuck for him. Seth Rollins, after chasing the title for the longest time, finally becomes the top dog on the flagship show, Monday Night Raw, at a time when the ratings are tanking, live attendance is on the decline, people are turning away from the show. It has become a running joke how bad Raw is on most weeks, and he is cracking under the pressure. He's going out there and delivering in the ring, don't get me wrong. I heard a lot of great things about the match he had with Nakamura in Japan a couple days ago. He's killing it when he's out there in the ring, especially with the right opponent. It's not like it's affecting his in-ring work, but he is cracking under the pressure. This is not what he envisioned. How could it be? This is not what he expected when he finally won the title. Business is down. He's taking it personally. I think that's what's going on here as much as anything else. I kind of feel sorry for him. It's not entirely his fault. You can't put all the blame on Seth Rollins, but lashing out like this and not acknowledging that, yes, there are problems. We have the best pro wrestling on the planet. The product was so bad, the entire McMahon family felt the need to go on television 6 months ago and stand shoulder to shoulder in the ring apologizing for how bad the show was and promising that they were going to make changes. Now they're bringing in Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff to try to right the ship. If you're the best pro wrestling in the world, you shouldn't have to do those things. He's making the fans out to be the enemy, when everything people have been complaining about has now been validated. They've been validated by his own employer. But we're the problem. You're the problem. I'm the problem. We're all the problem. The stuff with Ospreay, I've got the bigger bank account and we run 500 shows a year, more shows than anybody else. It's quantity over quality with Seth Rollins. He's fine with settling. Obviously, his friend was not happy with just settling, and it clearly irks him for some reason. But with Rollins, he's basically resorted, with that whole Twitter exchange, he's resorted to the "my dick is bigger than your dick" argument. And when you do that, you have lost. You have lost the narrative. Using a straw man argument when he goes on about the talent working hard and working through injuries and having to eat right and find time to train on the road, all of the things the fans respect and have no issue with. It is a straw man argument. We cannot refute people, right, on the merits of the argument, so let's manufacture some phony outrage about them. Disrespecting the talent when nobody has said anything about the talent. I've said many times, it's not a talent issue, it's a creative issue. It is an issue of leadership. The fish rots from the head. It's time to fire back. This is not a war. It is not us versus them. We're all on the same side here. Fans, talent, everybody wants great pro wrestling. Nobody is denying that. People that have different opinions about something are not the enemy. People who know things could be better and want to see things improve are not the bad guys. Not a single person I know has ever doubted the effort that Seth Rollins and people like Seth Rollins put in. The travel can be brutal. They run a lot of shows. And you can make those points. But they have absolutely nothing to do with what people are upset about. We get it. You're a proud man. You're proud of your work. You have a lot of friends who work for the company. And you also want to kiss a little ass and show your boss that you're a company guy. Hey, you do you. But spare me the us against them bullshit. Woe is me. They're saying mean things about us, so it's time to fire back. Oh, that's a great attitude to have. Yeah, that'll fix things. I'm surprised he didn't hit us with the "we put smiles on people's faces" argument. I hope Heyman and Bischoff can turn things around. I really do. For the sake of Seth Rollins and his sanity. Because he is clearly feeling the pressure of being the champion and the face of a brand that it is as bad as it has ever been. He is the Mickey Callaway of WWE. The Mets manager is feeling the same pressure right now, and it has gotten so bad he is threatening the media. Their own players are physically threatening the media. It's a hell of a lot easier to do that than to look in the mirror and realize that the problems start from within.